Hope all is well with everybody out there. I know it's been a little while since I uploaded any information to share. But I've been breaking it up a little bit. You know what I mean? I didn't want to just drown y'all out with a bunch of my philosophies and ideologies and stuff like that and start to lose traction or lose what I should say, interest in the information that I am sharing. So I feel like when you break it up a little bit, it allows the people to sit with the information a little bit, let it resonate, and then maybe they can either add on in their own personal life or they can dismiss it, whatever they choose to do. But sometimes I feel like a lot of guys that are doing what I'm doing or doing something a little bit different tend to oversaturate the minds of the people, and it becomes like rhetoric. So I wanted to give y'all a little bit of space or a window of time to be able to just sit with some of the videos that I uploaded. So what I wanted to speak about today, obviously, since there's been a little while since I've uploaded, we've lost a few people or whatever. Well, there's been some a notable person, rest in power to the great lyricist Fred the Godson. And then there's been some people that I know personally that have transitioned or whatever. So I wanted to take this time and use today's vlog to actually go into how I view death. And hopefully that'll help those who are losing people find a way to cope. You know what I mean? And these ideas that I have obviously are not law. You know what I mean? These are just ideas. These are just some things that I wanted to bring to your attention, and maybe you guys can sit with and say, you know what, that is a possibility. And in that possibility, or in that realm of possibility, you might be able to deal with your loss a little bit better. So with that being said, let's get into it. I've lost quite a few people along the way. Some may look at it as a loss. I look at it as a gain, because through what may consider a loss, I actually gained perspective. You know what I mean? I gave insight. I gained a form of enlightenment, and I gained growth through those losses. So in reality, they were never even losses to begin with. Now, one of the ideas that I had, first of all, let's look at how death is viewed. Like, death is a touchy subject because, again, we're attached to death. You know what I mean? Through life, you have death, and through death, you have life. So a lot of times, people, you can't really talk about death with certain people who have lost people that are really, really close to them, because they're not really trying to hear that. So this is why this platform is perfect for that, because it allows me to be able to get, make a few points or bring some things to light without having a conflicting argument with somebody who's going through a loss. You follow me? So when you think about it, we're taught from very young, which I don't even overstand, and understand where death came into my life. Like, I don't even understand how I learned about that, to be honest. Like, when I think about it, I don't even know where that came from. It's almost like we come into the world knowing that we're not here forever. You know what I mean? It's weird. Now, I can't speak for everybody else out there, but I just can't. There isn't a point in my life that I could go back like, oh yeah, that's when I learned about this. If I feel like I've always known about what some consider death to be. So let's start by me explaining to you the word that I choose to use as an alternate word instead of using the word death. I like to use the word transition. Reason being is because I believe that we die every day, and the person that doesn't die every day isn't evolving. Like, you feel me? So like, I feel like every time I go to sleep, I die, and when I wake up, I'm reborn. You follow me? When people are looking at the death in the way that we consider death to be, I call that transition, because we're energy, so we don't really die. We just change form. So we're transitioning into a different body or a different form of reality, rather it be being reincarnation, incarnation, whatever your idea of death is, that's what ends up happening. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, there isn't anything in place. Like, mainstream science has no way of measuring what happens after you die. Religions have their theories on what happens after we die. Spiritual occultists have their idea on what happens when we die, but for the most part, none of it can be measured. You know, people have dreams. They have people in place like seers, psychics, and clairvoyants that claim or proclaim that they've been in touch with people on the other side. I can't tell them that it's not true because I'm not psychic myself in that sense. I'm intuitive. I have intuition. I have dreams that give me some insight on the future, sometimes the past and sometimes the present. But I can't actually say that I'm a psychic, right? So with that being said, I can't tell you if what they're saying is true or not. But to me, a lot of the stuff that people talk about or their theories on things doesn't resonate with me. So if you embrace the concept of transitioning versus death, you realize that just in that thought alone, you look at it differently, because then you realize that the loss, what's really the gain that has taken place. Look at this afro, boy. You realize the loss that you really gain. You gain that clarity, and you're able to sit with it, with the notion of understanding that the person that you lost was really a gain, right? Because of the perspective you gain, but also that they didn't really die, that they transitioned. So they're somewhere else doing something different in a different body or in a different form, so to speak. So you haven't really, just because you don't see them doesn't mean that they're gone, you know? And a lot of people who study the occult sciences understand this principle, that the energy is still there, the feeling of that individual is still there, and in truth and in science, if they've had children, they've even carried on their spirit through their lineage. So that's another thing. But the one thing that we shouldn't say is that this person has died. And it's real selfish of us, when you think about it, for us to mourn and cry. Bear with me, because I can't tell you how to deal with your gain, because we're changing the narrative now. I'm not going to continue to say loss. I'm not going to continue to say death to appeal to the people watching this. I'm changing the narrative. So that's a gain, and it's transitioning. So we can't keep holding on to those gains. It's selfish of us to hold on to those gains, and to assume that because we're so close to an individual, they should be here for the rest of our entirety. You follow me? That's selfish of us.